They warned me about the forests near Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Not in the casual, watch out for bears kind of way. No, this was different. Whenever the locals spoke of the woods, their voices dropped, their eyes darted toward the tree line, as if even mentioning its name might draw something closer. That name was the Hodag. At first, I thought it was just small-town folklore, a creature parents used to keep kids from wandering too deep into the dark. But the more I heard, the stranger it became. Everyone seemed to have a different story. Some swore it was the size of a bear, with sharp horns curling from its head. Others whispered about its glowing green eyes, its lizard-like scales, and a row of jagged spines running down its back. And then there were the more unsettling details, the ones they only shared after a few drinks. That it could smell fear, that it stalked campsites, waiting for the moment the fire burned low. That once you heard its growl, it was already too late. I told myself I didn't believe it, but I couldn't get the image out of my head, a beast lurking just out of sight, its breath steaming in the cold Wisconsin air. That's when I decided to go find out for myself. One late October evening, I packed my gear, grabbed my flashlight, and made my way toward the forest. The sun was already sinking, and the horizon bled orange and red like a warning sign I should have heeded. The deeper I walked, the quieter the woods became. No crickets, no owls. Just the crunch of leaves beneath my boots. Every step felt heavier than the last. Then, I saw it. Not the creature, at least, not yet, but the signs. Massive claw marks carved into a pine tree, higher than I could reach. A foul, musky stench lingering in the air, like something that had been rotting for weeks, and on the ground, tracks. Huge, three-toed imprints pressed deep into the mud. That's when I realized this wasn't just a story, something was out there with me. My flashlight flickered, the temperature dropped. And in the silence, I thought I heard something moving slowly, deliberately in the underbrush. Would you keep walking deeper into the woods if you were me? Or would you turn back right then, before it was too late? Because I kept going. And that's when the night truly began. The deeper I ventured, the more the forest seemed to close in around me. My flashlight being cut through the darkness, but the trees felt taller, their branches knotting together overhead like skeletal fingers. The trail was gone now if there had ever been one. I knew I wasn't alone. At first it was just a sound barely there, almost like the forest breathing. A slow crunch of leaves behind me, a low snap of a branch in the distance. Every time I spun around, my light revealed nothing but shadows stretching between the trunks. Still, something was following. The stench grew stronger, acrid, metallic. It clung to the back of my throat until I had to cover my mouth with my sleeve. That's when I noticed the ground again. The tracks I'd seen earlier were fresher now, pressed into the damp soil as if they'd been made minutes before. And worse, there were more of them. The beast was circling me. I kept walking, though my heart thudded so loudly I was sure it would give me away. The silence of the woods was absolute, except for the occasional rustle that reminded me I was prey. And then, the growl. It started low, so deep I felt it in my chest before I even heard it. A rumbling, guttural snarl that rolled out from the trees like thunder. I froze, every muscle locking in place, the flashlight trembling in my hand. The growl came again, louder this time, closer. I wanted to run, but where? The woods stretched endlessly in every direction, and I couldn't tell which way I'd come. The air was thick, pressing against me, urging me to make a choice. Do I bolt blindly through the trees and risk running right into it? Or do I stand my ground and wait to see what emerges from the shadows? That's when I caught the first glimpse. To pinpricks of green light, hovering just above the ground, eyes glowing and blinking, fixed directly on me. They moved slowly, deliberately. The creature stepped forward. The outline of its hulking body began to take shape in the dim light. Horns curved like jagged blades above its head, its back bristled with sharp spines, and when it exhaled, a cloud of hot steam poured from its mouth, hanging in the cold night air like smoke. I couldn't breathe. The Hodag was real, and it was staring at me. Tell me, if you were in my place, would you raise the flashlight higher to see the full thing? Or would you keep the beam low, too terrified to reveal the monster in its entirety? Because in that moment, my finger twitched, the light lifted. And that's when the Hodag moved. The winter of 1893 was unlike any Rhinelander had ever seen. Snowstorms blanketed the forests so heavily that even the deer trails disappeared, leaving the woods silent and suffocating. Yet it wasn't the weather that worried the townsfolk most. One by one, livestock vanished. Cattle, sheep, even horses tied in their stables were found with nothing left but deep claw marks in the frozen ground and the faint smell of burning pine in the air. And always those glowing green eyes were reported nearby. By now, people whispered the creature's name with dread, the Hodag, but here's the question I want to ask you. If you were living there at that time, would you chalk it up to superstition, or would you start believing the stories when the evidence kept piling up? Because in Rhinelander, belief wasn't a choice anymore. The tipping point came one bitter night when a group of lumberjacks set out to cut timber near Pelican Lake. They never returned. Days later, when their comrades searched for them, all they found were splintered axes, a circle of trees scorched black, and tracks unlike anything seen before, four-legged, heavy, clawed, yet disturbingly uneven, as if the creature limped. That was when Eugene Shepard, the seasoned lumberman and known prankster of Rhinelander, made his oath. He declared before the town, "If the Hodag is real, I'll bring it back for all to see." But how do you even hunt something that can vanish into the shadows, something said to breathe fire and strike with claws strong enough to tear through oak? Imagine being Shepard for a moment. Would you dare? Or would you quietly pack up your belongings and move far away, leaving the mystery unsolved? Shepard didn't run. Instead, he gathered a band of brave volunteers, armed them with rifles, ropes, and lanterns, and set off into the forest. They followed the tracks for miles, deeper than anyone had gone in weeks. The silence of the woods pressed in on them, broken only by the crunch of snow underfoot and the hiss of lanterns against the wind. Then, in the dead of night, they saw it. A hulking silhouette crouched over the carcass of a deer. A massive head with horns like a bull, eyes glowing a venomous green, spines jutting from its back like jagged spears. And when it lifted its snout to sniff the air, a gout of smoke curled from its nostrils. The Hodag was no longer just a story. The hunters froze, caught between awe and terror. Shepard slowly raised his rifle, but in that instant, the Hodag let out a roar that shook the earth. The men dropped their weapons and bolted, lanterns swinging wildly, snow spraying behind them. Only Shepard held his ground, clutching his rifle with trembling hands. But then the Hodag vanished into the shadows, leaving nothing but that acrid smell and the echo of its roar. Here's what I want you to think about. Was the Hodag playing with them? Was it intelligent enough to know fear is a sharper weapon than claws, or was Shepard simply lucky to survive? One thing was clear: the legend was no longer confined to fireside tales. The Hodag was alive, stalking, and waiting. And Shepard had vowed to bring it into the light. The town of Rhinelander buzzed with a mix of dread and excitement after Shepard's first encounter. The Hodag was no longer whispered about, it was shouted in the streets, printed in the papers, and debated in every tavern. People wanted proof. Some demanded Shepard abandon his foolish crusade, while others begged to join him in the hunt. So Shepard did what no one else dared. He planned a trap. Imagine being there, standing in the bitter cold as men prepared a massive pit, lined with sharp stakes and baited with fresh meat. Lanterns flickered in the snow, rifles gleamed, and nerves stretched tight as bowstrings. Would you have stood at Shepard's side, waiting for a monster, or would you have hidden at home with your doors barred? The night of the hunt, the forest seemed unnaturally still. Then came the sound low, guttural, like the grinding of rocks deep underground. The Hodag stepped into the clearing, larger and more terrifying than any description. Its horns gleamed, its spines rattled, and smoke curled from its jaws. The trap was sprung. But the Hodag didn't fall easily. It lunged, tearing through ropes, smashing trees with its bulk. Men fired their rifles, bullets sparked against its scales. The beast roared, a sound so powerful it knocked lanterns to the ground, plunging the clearing into chaos. For a moment, it seemed Shepard's plan would fail, that the Hodag would tear through every hunter in its path. And then, just when all seemed lost, Shepard gave a desperate command. He ordered his men to use dynamite. The blast lit up the night sky, a thunderclap that echoed for miles. When the smoke cleared, silence reigned, the Hodag lay still. Captured? Rhinelander erupted with awe and fear. Shepard displayed the beast in a specially built hut, charging admission to see it. People traveled from miles around, lining up to glimpse the legendary Hodag. Newspapers carried the story far beyond Wisconsin. The Hodag wasn't just a monster anymore, it was folklore, spectacle, history. But here's the twist you might not know. Years later, Shepard admitted the original capture was a hoax. The beast displayed in Rhinelander was a clever construction of wood, ox hide, and wires. Yet by then, it didn't matter. The Hodag had already taken root in people's minds. The sightings, the fear, the glowing eyes in the woods, they were real to those who lived them. And even today, some claim the Hodag still roams the forests of Wisconsin. Hunters swear they've seen its eyes flash in the trees. Campers report hearing its bone-rattling roar. Whether Shepard's beast was fake or not, the question remains, what if the real Hodag still lurks out there? So let me ask you, do you think Shepard invented the whole thing, or was his hoax just a cover for something much darker he couldn't explain? Because legends, they don't die, they wait. And the Hodag, maybe it's still waiting for you. If you enjoyed this story and want more terrifying legends like the Hodag, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and tell me in the comments which cryptid you want to see next. Maybe your suggestion will be the star of the next tale.